Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is HERSPIRATION Happy Hour, Season 2, Episode 32. And I'm hoping everybody is doing great today. This is your unapologetic diva of HERSPIRATION Happy Hour, DrPamela Gurley. We also have Dr. Zoe Zorka on the line, too.
Oh, hi.
Hello there. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yes, it's been a very long week, and so I'm really happy that this can, be a part of my week because I can actually decompress a little bit and share some thoughts and feelings on things and then get out some what they call microaggressions, I guess, after this fiscal year close out.
Yeah.
And so I know. So today what we're going to be drinking is a red sangria, which is really, I really love having fruit in my drinks. I'm not a really big sweet drinker, and I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you are. Zoe, are you a sweet drinker?
Sometimes I'll drink the sangria if it's like really good, but I like putting it when they make the margaritas and put the sangria in it and make it a sangria. I like those.
Oh, nice. I never heard of that one.
You never have?
No, I have not.
Oh, wow.
And
I'll make it next
this,
time I see you, yeah.
I know. So I found an interesting recipe for this drink for today, and so this one it's a red sangria, but it's made with Pinot Noir and some fresh squeezed orange juice and a little bit of fresh squeezed lemon juice, and then we have peaches and strawberries, and I put cherries in it this time. And then I wanted to naturally sweeten it because you can add a little. Sometimes I saw recipes that'll say add maple syrup or a little sweetener to it. I chose to sweeten mine with pineapple.
Okay.
And then
right.
I gave it a good kick of brandy.
Ooh, nice.
So our drinks are going to be on point for today as we really start having our discussion a little bit later. So what's going on with you? What's some updates for you? It's been 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, it's been 2 weeks. Yeah, it has been 2 weeks. Yeah. Let's see here. The big news obviously is that article I had for NBC News, their new Think division. I have that. That was a really, really big deal. Super excited about that. I actually I've known about it since before the last show. They gave me a tentative acceptance about 3.5 weeks ago, but I didn't want to say anything and jinx myself. Then it was the day after we did our show, that Thursday, so 2 weeks ago tomorrow, that they gave me the pretty much the green light that it was. We had done a bunch of edits and stuff. That was when I was getting the real green light that it was probably we're talking 95 to 99% go. And I didn't tell anybody. I did not tell a single. So the hardest thing, because I think if I have this thing, if I tell anyone, I'm going to jinx myself. I did not tell a soul, and it's crazy because when they emailed me, Rob, it was about 1 o'clock, let's say last Thursday. Rob had just left. He was going to California with the team for the game, and he had literally just walked out the door, and 10 minutes later, my friend Tyler showed up. Remember I said he had to bring me down my wine? Well, he brought me down the wine, so I had 4 nice bottles. We did some wine tasting. And in that 10 minutes, I found out. And so it was weird that, and I mean, neither one, so that little gap, neither one of them knew. And I kept it from a secret from everybody but Rob until I needed his help a few days before we need to find a subject matter expert. I think that's when I hit you up about looking for a PhD in foreign policy, and I found one.
Yeah.
She could talk a little bit about the work that her organization does later today on the show, but then the article was supposed to come out on Thursday afternoon, and then just because things happened, Trump, and they had some big time, we'll say a bigger time writer than me, write a piece that sort of was more time sensitive and bumped mine, so mine got. But they put mine Sunday morning, which is great because that's when a lot of people have time to read news. So it came out on Sunday morning, and it's been doing pretty well. So, yeah, that's the big news. And I'll segue into where I got the idea from and all that in a little bit. But that's been the big news. It's really working on this article. And now I've got to make up a bunch of my other work because I've just been working so hard on that piece. But I'm really excited the way it came out. The graphic design looks great. everything looks wonderful. So yeah, something in the portfolio, and it's something nobody's really talked about a lot in the media, but we should. I'll get more data as we go along. But yeah, that's really all that's going on with me. What about you in the last 2 years?
Well, first of all, let me tell you congratulations, because I remember when you text me, I know you were sweating bullets trying to get through this. And I, of course, having so many things going on, especially at year end with closeout, how something so precedent that you need to crank out can overshadow everything else that you're doing. It's like this needs to be done first, and everything else has to go on the back burner. So I commend you, and I'm so proud of you for being able to get through this. Yeah. And it's not a small deal. And then,
no,
like
it's
I said,
not.
I also and I think it's on something very relevant. So I'm very excited when we finally get into that, for our discussion today.
Yeah.
But otherwise, as for me, I did fiscal year closeout. I have also been trying to get my fall collection finished and uploaded. I have uploaded a good bit of it. I still have maybe 3 or 4 items that I need to add, and I'm offering, because originally it doesn't come out till October 15th, I'm doing a pre-launch so people can do pre-orders. This way I can make sure and have specific sizes. And so since I'm offering the pre-order, I'm doing not only just offering the pre-order, I'm offering a fall discount because it is fall, and I have a lot of great designs coming out. So I'm going to do like a fall 10, so there'll be 10% off of each item, not the whole entire item, whatever you have in your basket or whatever you purchase, but actually per item, I'm going to be offering 10% off. And so that's kind of a big deal. And that's for people who want to get in early and get theirs first. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. But a lot goes into it, all of this designing pieces, and I still have some pieces that I'm wondering if I'm going to have out in the fall or wait and bring them out in the spring. Because I really did an overload of different images and whatnot, and some of them, they itch to get out, but it's okay. I'm almost finished, and, so once I get them out, I'll be extremely happy, and I'll start advertising for them. But if you're listening, you can go on the site right now, and you can get the discount with using fall, which is capital F, the @ LL10. And it'll be a little thing that'll pop up, like a light screen that'll pop up that'll give you that discount. And once you get to your basket, you'll see all of your discounted prices in there. So that's kind of what's essentially going on with me.
That's awesome.
I know. Oh, by the way, the other thing that I have to multitask with, I'm going to tell you how fast time went. What happened to September? I'm really wondering, because I felt like I just started class, teaching class in August, and I'm already at midterm.
Oh wow, yeah, that's definitely I feel like September was kind of long. Actually, I feel like I feel like September was long, but yeah, that's how are your classes on quarters or semesters?
Yeah, I don't feel like it should be midterms already. I think I'm getting ready to start. I'm in week 7, and we're going to be doing the the midterm review next week when I get to class. So that's, to me, it's just moving by really fast. I'm going to blink, and it's going to be finals, and it's going, and then by that point it'll be Christmas. It's going to be Christmas.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little about something. So one of the new segment that we have, we're incorporating is HERSPIRATION's WCW. For our Working Women Wednesday and our WCW. So you want me to give mine first, or you want to give yours first?
Yeah, go ahead and give yours first, because I'm going to segue into my sort of where I got the idea from. So yeah, let's hear yours first.
So this week for me, my WCW is Chelsea Clinton, and here's why. While I was working from home today, I can hear the TV upstairs, and she drew my attention, and I walked upstairs just to see what she was talking about, and she had a lot of great things talking about our political climate. And one of the things that they commented on was that Trump had tweeted the greatest scam in the history of American politics. She actually replied to his tweet and said, "Yes, you are." And I felt like, wow, that was kind of interesting and probably how a lot of people feel. And then she also said that in her view, his whole life has been a scam.
Yeah.
So I just found that very noble. So that made her my WCW for today. And how about you?
Well, I more was thinking, I think the only time you have women who are willing to be in politics, and I'm going to say hers is a different situation. You have a lot of these women senators, congresswomen, governors, things like that. That's definitely it's harsh, and you talk about today's political climate. People are absolutely crazy. So I think anyone who's willing to put themselves out there in the public eye and deal with there's criticisms and then there's crazies. To just deal with the crazies, good on them. The idea for this article actually came up in about February of last year. So, and this is where it started, and I pulled up the whole article I was going to do was something like 3,000 words, and they cut it into a third because time, space, all that kind of stuff. So there was this Senator Jean Shaheen of New Hampshire. Okay, so she's a senator from New Hampshire. And what I was reading about, this was back in February. I'm going to pull this up. So, okay, Senator Jean Shaheen. Okay, and she was the only woman to serve on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And this is back in February, so keep in mind we're talking over half a year ago. She asked, this was kind of a minor news story. She asked Secretary of State Mike Pompeo whether or not the Afghan government and Taliban delegates plan to include Afghan women in ongoing peace talks. And so Pompeo, he vaguely responded, and this is an actual quote, Senator, there's lots of issues that we're working our way through. And so then John Sobko, he's the congressionally appointed special inspector general for the Afghanistan reconstruction. He had said something. He had basically said if the U.S. and the other members of the international coalition he asked if they would pull reconstruction funding if a peace agreement didn't include securing the rights of women and girls. So you have this Sobko guy who's the special inspector general for the Afghanistan reconstruction, and then this senator, Shaheen of New Hampshire. They were saying, hey, it's great that we're trying to help fix Afghanistan, and we're going to give them this money. We've been giving them this money, and we're going to give them more money, and now we're going to kind of try to hopefully turn things over to them. What are you going to do for the protection of women and girls? And Pompeo said, he basically said nothing in as many words, and then it sort of went away because there's a new news story every day, it seems like. Every week something else is a crisis, tragedy, whatever. So I thought, well, hey, and then I made me sort of thinking, there's not a lot of talk about foreign aid, this, that, and the other. We're giving all this money to all these countries, and a lot of them have the worst. They have horrible rights records for how they treat their women. Some of them countries, women are not even allowed to vote. Some of the countries, women are not even allowed to vote without a male relative escorting them to the polls. So imagine you had to have your dad, husband, brother, uncle, somebody escort you to go vote. And that's how these are in a lot of these countries. So when I was doing the research, the government has for everything online. I ran all the numbers for, and we've been giving foreign aid to these countries, some of them since the 50s, 60s, 70s, but there's really only really good, reliable data since 2000. So I kept it since 2000. So since 2000, I took the countries we've been giving the most money to, and then I have another thing. The World Bank has rankings of how women are treated in each country, and there's a 0 is the absolute worst, a 1 is a perfect score, and no countries have a 1. Some of them, I think, like Sweden, I think, is in the high 0.8. Sweden, Norway, I think that they're two of the top ones. The U.S. is fairly high. U.S. About 0.775 or something like that. We're kind of, with Canada and the other European countries, Japan. There's your general first world nations. And then you've got these ones these developing countries where not only are the women's rights records, their records of treatment and their women's rights are horrible, but over 16 years since the World Bank started doing the records, they haven't improved at all. So the U.S., Norway, Sweden, Canada, most of the other countries have been slowly going up, but these other countries have not. So I looked at the standard deviation of which countries have not. They haven't. Not only have some of them not been improving, some of them have been dropping. But yet we can start to keep giving them more money. And then it's not just the U.S. It's also the United Nations. So we decided to sort of tie it in with the United Nations as well. And we were a piece that didn't make the cut. Is we were talking about Ivanka Trump. She was talking about doing this initiative for women and girls and with the World Bank to try to give money to help women in economic opportunities in some of these countries. Okay, well, it sounds good, but there was, again, no oversight, nothing like that. Same thing with Prince Harry and what's his Meghan Markle. They went over there and they were in Africa last week and talking about, hey, we want to help, the women and girls need to be treated better, but they weren't talking about how they were going to do it. So it seems like the topics get a lot of lip service, but there's not really any action. And when people have asked the president and his people about this, it seems like they're blowing them off. So yeah, so I think it's something we need to ask more about because this is as Americans, this is our tax dollars. I'm not saying when foreign aid is used properly, it can help these countries. I cited Japan as an example in the article, but when it's not, when we're just giving money to it, most of the time it ends up in the hands of corrupt dictators. And that's what a lot of research has found in these. If we're not asking for accountability, then it's just going to be corrupt dictators buying stuff that they want or using it towards their military, and they're calling it security forces money, but actually a lot of what they're using their quote security forces for and their military for is to quelch democratic peaceful protests, especially protests that are trying to help women and girls get more rights. So yeah, so it's basically we're shooting ourselves in the foot essentially. I hope it makes sense. Yeah, so that's kind of where it all stemmed from. Just all those news stories sort of converging together.
Oh wow, that's very interesting. Although a lot of that, especially when it comes to foreign aid and all of those things, I'm very familiar with. Mm-hmm. For one reason or another, I'm very familiar with because of my previous job, but I'm glad that information is out there. And yes, a lot is made public, and so you can get to quite a bit, especially now with the Data Transparency Act. This made a lot more data accessible to taxpayers. Yeah. And I think it's important that taxpayers pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm. And we did. And I will mention this. And I did have a formal interview with a State Department spokesperson last week, and it was all transparent on the record. I did have a formal interview in which she confirmed that there was no that besides the few small loans that we sometimes give these countries, that there's no other stipulations, requirements, or benchmarks that they have to meet. And she sent me the official document. It's all online. It's a lot to read through. But yeah, so we did get confirmation. We got confirmation. So we made sure we did the due diligence just so we could have them on record saying, okay, this is what it is. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we don't want to say, because there's a lot of things online, but sometimes you have to get the gospel from you have to get it straight up from the horse's mouth, and then they were helpful, but they just gave us told us how it was, and they knew what we were doing, and they knew we were with all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was good times.
So now that you've done that and you put a lot of information out there, what was your takeaway?
Oh, my takeaway is that we're not really holding the in the U.S. If you give money to organizations who ask for grants, universities, anybody who gets government funding in the U.S., they have to abide by Title. Well, one, first of all, they have to file a lengthy application. if you are, applying for grants, applying for loans, even if you're doing an SBA loan, you have to apply. You have to submit a lot of information. You have to show you have a plan how it's going to be used. I mean, that's something for people who want to go get $20,000 SBA loan, and that's a loan, not even a grant. They want to go get a loan. They have to fill out pages and pages and pages of applications. They have to provide documentation. People will apply for grants, universities, research programs, nonprofits, all these different things. It's a lengthy process to prove how it's going to be used. And then all those different people, they have to abide by federal laws, state laws. They have to abide by, and this is the most interesting one, like universities, it's a lot of our grant money goes, they got to abide by Title IX ruling, which means that their institution and their programs have to allocate as much. They can't be discriminatory towards women. They have to allocate as much money towards for women as men and for some different programs. And so so we're holding our own people accountable to these standards for far less money than we're holding our foreign partners who are giving billions of dollars to. So I think we should just say what's good for the goose is good for the gander,
I agree. And this, I do realize that the U.S. puts a lot of money out there to other countries, a tremendous amount. And it always just made me wonder, because we don't receive as much, but it just makes me wonder how our dollars are actually being spent over there and how they're monitored. And, because I do know that there are reporting guidelines where you should be reporting how that money is spent. I'm just wondering how accurate that is, or how much of it is from show.
That's a really good question. So sometimes, again, like I mentioned, touched on briefly, a lot of times we'll say, oh, well, this was used for security, providing security to neighborhoods, women, girls. Imagine you're one of these just third world countries, and you're talking about places where imagine the worst part of whatever city you're in the United States, and now make that 10 times worse. So you're talking about some really bad places, and so security is kind of important, but they're acting like the security is going for helping keep the people safe. Well, it's really going to helping keep the people quiet, like breaking up protests, basically working as some corrupt government henchman. I think that's what you see a lot of now. And then their reporting requirements are very, very loose. It's very, just really, really, they are very vague. Imagine you were a multi-billion-dollar business, and so you said, okay, we spent $10 million on marketing. Okay, well, marketing what? If it was that, what went to social media marketing, what went to print marketing, went to referral marketing, what just saying $10 million went to marketing. So the reporting requirements are really, really, really vague. But now you mentioned that what is it going to? Now here, this is at the end of the story. In following World War II, when after we bombed them, Japan, our government sent over, was it Douglas MacArthur and some other some other former World War II military leaders and some civilians and other political people they went to Japan, and they helped them restructure their political system. They helped them restructure their economy. They helped them restructure their healthcare system. And one of the big deals was that they said, okay, you have to give women equal rights. That was part of the thing. So we gave Japan we spent a lot of money helping Japan, get fixed up following World War II, but we were also over there making sure that wasn't going to be some sort of coup where someone goes in and throws over the government, and then they just become corrupt all over again. And so that was what we did following World War II. And now Japan is the third biggest contributor to UN aid following the U.S. and the United Kingdom. So the U.S. gives the most money, then the United Kingdom, then Japan. And then that money, a lot of that's spent on these efforts in their efforts in third world countries. So yeah. So I think in my article I kind of called out the U.S. and the UN both, because the UN's not really doing much oversight either. And last week was by yeah. But it can work when it's done properly, because now Japan doesn't get any money from us anymore, and they're actually giving money, and that's the whole feed a man to fish, teach him to fish analogy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow, that's very heavy.
Yeah.
So you said we send out money, of course, to try to assist other countries, especially in terms of protests and all of those things. What are your thoughts on protests here?
Oh, we don't. We don't do it. No. I'm sorry. We don't intend the money for that. We don't intend the money for that. We send the money to. No. Well, what we. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we send. Okay. The intent is, say we market for security. Okay.
Oh yeah. Same thing. Still money.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, we market for security. So when we say the U.S. government gives make believe a stand, they give some country $2 billion for security, and that's because this country is just in shambles. People are out there shooting each other, trying to get, what you send me on the kind of things you see on the news, just the church stuff. And what we in the U.S., what we imagine that for is, okay, well, they're going to pay their military people to keep civilians safe the same way we would if there was, following natural disasters, when the National Guard comes in, and just kind of helps maintain order. That's what we would assume. That's what the U.S. That's what it's intended for. We would assume, okay, it's just going to be like sending in the National Guard to just maintain law and order and keep the civilians safe. Well, what they're using it for is, now imagine in the U.S. we have the National Guard arrest and even shoot at peaceful demonstrations. We see peaceful demonstrations all the time outside, the White House, whatever. Now we're saying, okay, well, they're going to come in, they're going to arrest them, they're going to shoot them, and that's what's happening. They're also using it using them basically as a police force to round up political opponents and people who are speaking out against the government. Because here in the U.S., you're allowed to speak out against the government as long as you don't threaten them and stuff. And we have people speaking out against Trump all the time. We had people speaking out against Obama. You're allowed to do that. These other countries, they're using the military or police force to go and to get rid of those people. And that wasn't what our money was meant to be used for, but that's what they're using it for. So yeah, does that make sense? What we intended versus what it's actually being used for? Yeah.
I'll go back to my question of what I was saying in terms of protest. Even for security purposes, a lot of people are protesting against the government for the same reason why we're currently having protests, except for, to me, if the U.S. is also teaching these military people or their National Guard, whoever they're using, their security, that they want to contribute funds to help, I'm sure, because they're also not only giving money, it's been very known that they're giving weapons as well. What do they think the other countries are going to use these things for? Oh,
that's a totally different story. That's a totally.
But I'm just saying, but it still has to do has to do with foreign aid and how we are assisting other countries. So we have to, no matter what, as taxpayers, because it always goes back to taxpayers' money, we have to be in the know of how our taxpayers' dollars, our tax-paying dollars, are being spent, regardless on what it's spent for. Because there's not, to me, there's the Data Transparency Act does make things very transparent, but how transparent are they? I'm a firm believer that the government is always going to show you what they want you to see.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we don't, things like that, like we have no way of knowing once the money's been sent. We don't know. There's really nothing to say what it was used for, and there's not. There's, like I said, there's not that detailed thing. And now you're talking about like things like weapons, like what
what what political opponents are we, the U.S. arming? You're getting into some, okay, now you're getting into, like, shadow politics and stuff like that. Yeah, we should know more about that. And first of all, I don't really think that we should be messing with that if we're not going to be transparent about it. There's no reason. I think the U.S. there's, our forefathers, like, didn't they leave? They left Europe to come over here, and then now it's like, okay, now it seems like they want to go back, and now it seems like, oh, we left there, now we're going to want to go back and meddle and everything. It seems like the U.S. meddles in a whole lot of stuff that it really doesn't need to be meddling in. So I think that unless we're going to help them economically or help them become stable, we really don't need to be doing that. But I do think the taxpayers need to know more about who's, here's the thing. We always say, oh, is Russia meddling in our election? Well, whose elections are we meddling in? We should know that too, We're worried about who's meddling with us. We have, since, like, how many of those South American countries are it? Now, I'm not an expert on this, but I know the generalities of it. I know that, like, that was it, like, in the 80s or something, the U.S. was messing with a lot of those countries. We were down there doing things in South America. We were arming the rebels. We've done it, and we did it in Afghanistan. We armed the Taliban, and look where that got us. So we need to, we need who's meddling in our elections now? Whose elections are we meddling in right now? Let's just figure all that stuff out too. It's a two-way street.
And so the other part that I'd like to share is, or my personal thoughts is that no matter what kind of aid we provide outside of the U.S., it still all ties to money. Whether it's people, whether it's material goods, whether it's food, whether it's actually money or actual cash, it still equates to money. If things have to be purchased for it to go over, people are being paid to go over. That's still money, and I feel like that's still resources. And we are, as a country, are not where we should be.
Nope, definitely not. 100%, yeah. And we need to know more about that. We need to know what, like you said, what else is going over there. And and I think that I think that this is one of these situations where I think that really as far as foreign aid is concerned, I think the U.S. really needs to sort of step out of it and let the United Nations be the ones to they've got all the they've got a lot of NGO groups, let them be the ones to go and mess with it. So, and then have everybody, obviously have all the countries take a vote. So that it's not well, we're doing this to get back at Russia, who's doing this to back at China, and that kind of stuff. So I think that there needs to be the politics taken out of it. I think the UN and a lot of their private NGO groups should be the ones to be doing the humanitarian aid, and then they have to answer the United Nations rather than us per se. Because you're right, we have our own problems. We have our own problems here in the U.S. Like, let's worry about us, and then let's split the bill fairly with the other these other first world countries, and then let's let the UN and everybody vote, and then them be in charge of transparency, and let them there's so many of these groups to actually go into these countries and do try to help. Well, let's maybe offload it onto them under UN supervision. So then it doesn't become this whole, are we giving weapons to these people? No, we need to worry about us. We'll do our share about helping the others, but also worry about us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, you know what? Let's check to see if we have anyone on a line right now that wants to offer their opinion on this. I know we and you both have been going on a tangent right now. Right. If there's anyone out there that, that's on the line that would like to offer an opinion on this, let's just see if anybody out there. Anyone on the phone? Okay. So I guess we can go ahead and finish having our discussion. Hopefully people decide to take away from this. And, before I say that, when you wrote this article, what did you want people to take away so that they can be more informed? What was the action plan for you?
One, the first thing I want people to think about is, A, it's our money, taxpayers. B, it's not a Trump thing, it's not an Obama thing. It's been the same problem since Reagan, before Reagan. This has been going on for Republicans, Democrats for years. And no one's done anything to solve it. Neither party. So I think I was kind of hoping that this is something that everyone could say, hey, let's set aside politics for just a little bit and agree that both sides have dropped the ball on this one. And that's what I really really wanted to try. And maybe it's because no one brought it up. The only instance I could find of somebody actually bringing it up was the senator from New Hampshire that I mentioned earlier. That was the only instance I could really find. I'm sure there have been other instances, but, it's often hard to completely dig, but it's never been a major agenda. So I would say I would hope it would be an agenda item for either this president, maybe hopefully something to hear about in the upcoming debates. We really don't hear a lot about foreign policy in the debates, as much as we should. We hear, but I mean, the debates have kind of, in my opinion, become a little bit of a joke. Just really to kind of talk about, to figure out how we can pressure the UN and pressure these other countries at the same time. Because when you're holding the purse strings, the U.S. is holding the purse strings. We're holding the purse strings. Why don't we? That's something we've got going for us. Why don't we use it for? Why don't we kind of use that for good? If when you're controlling the wallet, you can sort of call the shots, and that's life. That's foreign aid, anything like that. You know that. When you're the one writing the checks, you can call the shots. You can make the decisions. So I think it's the time for the U.S. to start, basically start calling shots, to start really putting the pressure on these people to get their act together, to make some improvements. There's all this lip service out there, but there's not a lot. There's no accountability. What I think would also be good is, like I said, even if not the UN, if the U.S. There's I interviewed somebody from was the Women in Peace It's the Peace Studies at San Diego State University down there in San Diego. She's a PhD, and she's the program director for the the Peace Studies program. And I think she was saying, they go into these countries, they actually help people develop. They help people, they help communities. They're in these countries. They're in 56 countries. There's a lot, and then they're a U.S.-based company, and they're held accountable to U.S. reporting, to U.S. standards. So I think if we kind of maybe had worked with more U.S.-based or UN-approved private organizations, then it wouldn't just be giving the money to some dictator. It'd be like, okay, we're giving the money to the people and groups that we know are legit, and then they're going to be the ones administering it in these countries. Because right now the way it's just not working. Giving the money, I don't know. It seems like it just goes in like a direct deposit to whatever warlord is in charge of some of these countries this week. Some of these countries, it has changed so much. And they're not democracies. We all know that. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, my takeaway is I haven't had a chance to read it. But you and I've talked about it and the direction that that you wanted it to go in. I think that the takeaway, not only from this podcast, but from this radio show / podcast, that people who will be able to go back and listen on our HERSPIRATION Happy Hour podcast, I think the takeaway is that people need to step up, become more informed, and stop thinking that that they don't have a vote or a choice. Because one person has the ability to change, at least one thing. But when you get a group of people in masses that can enforce change can really start to happen.
Oh yeah, and so, on that, and it's not just about also message, tweet out, email, message your senator, Congress people. Tell them that they have people who listen to the public opinions. Message them, email them, tell them that you to things. If it's not this, sure, I'd like to be able to message your congressmen about the Congress people and senators out there. I would like to be able to message them. But if there's something else you're concerned about, get in contact with your local, state representatives. You just angry tweeting and posting and sharing stuff on the internet, that's cool. Your friends are going to read your article, but if you really want to bring it to the attention of the people who can make the changes, hit up the politicians. Tell them what your concerns are. And if enough people do that, then they're going to start to listen. Just, for lack of a better word, shit posting on the internet isn't going to do anything. Let's be honest. It's not.
Yeah, I think posting on the internet is one way to put people informed, to keep people informed, but it does not enforce action.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's not your feet to the pavement.
Right.
Type of action. I mean, for those people who are saying, hey, I'm being an activist and not just posting information, but then posting saying, hey, this is where we can meet because we would like to peacefully protest. And we've had a lot of protests here in Washington over, the climate. That's been really big right now. And I think that's a very admirable thing because people should be concerned about our climate. I mean, we're in, October, and it's still hot? We got real climate issues. There are things going on that affect everyone, and people need to take that stance and not just tweet about it and write about it, but actually, either it. Not only, I think some people feel comfortable with just saying, you know what, I've donated money to this cause.
Yeah.
But can you really say where this money went? And I think sometimes having the ability to make time to advocate for the things that's important to you, that's a way to enforce change.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of what I do hope that people, this is about activism. Just, if there's so much that you can do, you go out and volunteer. Go door to door, get signatures for a petition. Go to door and educate people about whatever it is that you care about. And I'm certainly not here to tell everyone what to care about because I think everyone's going to have their own thing or things. But do something. Don't just post something. That's you see the same people posting the same stuff over and over again. Half it's from not even real news. Half it's from fake blog sites and posing as news. But you never see, these people never leave their houses. These people don't even give money probably. They probably don't even donate $10, but they just rant and rant and rant online. Well, that's time that could be spent just instead of ranting online. Why don't you compose a thoughtful, well-articulated email to a politician? There's so much you can do, but people don't want to. So yeah, that's
do you think that's effective?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yes, I do.
I mean, writing to your congressman.
Yes, writing they all almost every one of them has websites that you can send emails to, and there's people will actually get back to you. I've done it for other stories. If you have enough people emailing, writing about the same thing, it's going to be, I think, over time, that's one way you can do it. There's also getting involved with organizations that are already established that are working to solve whatever problem it is you're looking to solve. You can go, maybe there's peaceful protests. It really depends on kind of what you're trying to do. There's just so many different options. I'm just saying there's a lot of things you can do rather than just posting pseudo blogs, posting pseudo news from, I don't know, some extremist blog on the internet, because that's what I see a lot of. And then they're like, hashtag activist. No, you're not. You're a joke. Or was it hashtag resistance? I'm like, no, you're not. You're a joke. Like, you've never left your house. You gotta leave your house. If you don't leave your house, if I don't see any photos or videos of you outside your house doing anything to somehow make the world better, if I don't see any of that stuff, if I don't see you communicating with anybody outside your immediate, whatever, 500,000 followers, then I'm not going to take you seriously. And that's why I think I know who to take. That's how I think we have to think about is actually action, not hashtagivism. That's why I think I've called it for in a different piece I wrote. Hashtagivism.
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 Nice.
Yeah, I know, right? Hashtag resistance. Cool. Yeah, no.
And you know what? I just thought about it and so first of all, really quick, just to apologize for people who are using the old line because we didn't realize that it was going to be a new number tonight. That might be also why we don't have any callers. Because I know we originally put out the old number, which is still the current number, but there was just some maintenance going on that didn't happen timely for this show. So we'll definitely, feel free to hit us on our Instagram and our Facebook for any questions or opinions that you might have on this topic. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yes.
So just dawned on me.
Yeah. And if there's something, if there's something, any sort of thing you're volunteering with, you're involved with, and it doesn't have to be a political thing. You can, like we talked about the, environment, animals' rights, anything that you're involved with that you want to come on and talk about your activism efforts or your charity, volunteer efforts, charity efforts. Maybe you go read the kids' library. There's anything you're doing, just hit us up. We'd love to hear from you because the small things together make big differences. One drop in the bucket's nothing, but 1,000 drops in the bucket, well, now you're filling it up.
That's a good analogy. Yeah, I like that. I really do. I like that analogy. And it's right on point.
Yes.
Wow. So in closing, is there anything else that you want to share? Not closing up the podcast, but of the show topic.
Oh, just if you agree with what I say, just tweet at your government representatives, tweet at them, send emails to them, send the article, say, hey, something to be considered. If you're a politician, if you're running for any sort of office, something to think about addressing. Yep, that's about it.
Yeah, I would love to have some of them come on and share why they find it important that people, be a part of the process.
Yep.
Because that would be really, really nice, any candidate for any office. And I think, just on this, I think we minimize local offices.
Oh,
we don't.
So much.
I pay attention to mine. I really do, because when I'm looking at that ballot, I have to know what your stance is, and it has to be in agreement with mine in order for me to vote. But it's so minimized that it's not out there like the congressional, all the congressional discussions and everything that's taken place. You see them on commercials, but they breeze by.
Yeah.
But what's really holding forth in the media is all the everything about being, we got 23,000 Democrats wanting to be president.
Right?
That's how I kind of feel, because you see it so often. I feel like every time I turn around, there's someone else wanting to put themselves on the ballot. And it makes me have to want to know more. So, but that takes away the attention of local government. People need to know who their city councilmen are or women are, and who their mayors are, and their governors, and all of these other local positions. I mean, down to the sheriff.
Yeah,
exactly. We need to be informed.
Your local government affects you so much more than you realize. We're sitting here, and I'm like, how there are some massive apartment building right up next to ours. Now our good views partially blocked, and well, how'd that happen? Who approved that? Oh, it was approved through zoning laws. Who do we know that? No, because we don't even know who our city council people are. We don't know any. I'm guilty of it. We don't. The things they're changing. Tax rates in your city. They're changing zoning codes in your city. All these different things are actually probably going to affect your day to day. Oh, apparently you don't have to get vehicle emissions. You don't have to get one type of vehicle emissions inspection anymore. You have to get a different kind now. Well, that's your local government. So things that affect your day to day, you need to. I think, and I, like I said, I'm guilty of it. I should know more about the people running here than about the 23 Democrats. 21 of whom, 21 or 22 of whom are going to be like on the ballot.
Do you attend your city council meetings?
No.
I quite honestly, I always know about them, but I can't. I work so late often to be able to make it. I mean, I have a hefty commute coming from Washington D.C., living in Maryland, but
yeah.
But what you can do is you can still go and get the minutes and read the minutes. All of that stuff is made, available to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I find it very important. So, I mean, with next year's election coming up, I think it's important that everybody take a stance on a particular position. You don't have to feed into what everybody else is. Have your own place, have your own stance, because that's what's going to make a difference. Because at the end of the day, what you don't want is saying, oh, I voted for this person because somebody told me to, or I just thought they was the best option. Because they had
this letter or worse, because they had this letter by their name. A lot of people are like, I'm going to go down and vote all R's or all D's. Okay,
oh my gosh,
cool.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
I've got I've got so many people who will literally say that. I'm going to do a Facebook poll now, because there are so many people who will vote all R's or all D's without even reading about any of them.
That's hella crazy.
Yeah. That's
hella crazy.
Because we're so polarized.
Because people also rely on media to give them their answers.
Yep.
I mean, quite honest. I mean, it's the same way as looking for a therapist. I mean, most people vent online thinking that's a form of therapy when it's not. Get yourself a therapist. So it's the same way with politics. You can't rely on social media to be an answer for you.
Completely.
Yes. So what are some things I'm trying, so everybody out here who is listening, I'd like you to hit our page, and we're going to put something up on our social media sites to just say, what would you like to hear us discuss? What would you like to have discussions about? I'm always curious as to what's out there and what information do people want to know, good, bad, or indifferent. We're very non-biased. You know that you can have negative things to say, and we really don't care. People didn't make us. We chose to make who we are. And so we would love to hear opinions of, or options or just discussions that we can have online and put out to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be kind of really nice.
Yeah, we're going to be soliciting all that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're going to put that out there because I want to know. Also want to know what people think about activism and what people are doing. You don't have to come on the show to share. I'm just curious to see what you're doing to make, it work for you. And I think it's important that people understand the purpose of why we're having this, especially with our political climate, and we have, an election coming up next year. So how can people connect with you?
Follow me on Instagram, Twitter at Zoe Shrugged, ZoeShrugged. And then, that's mine.
You don't have Twitter or anything?
I said Instagram and Twitter. I just said it.
Oh, Instagram and Twitter. Okay. I was wondering.
Yeah, I've got Twitter.
I missed that.
I never forget. But Instagram and Twitter. Same name for Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, so, for me, I am on Instagram, Twitter, and, of course, I have the Facebook page at I am Dr. P. Gurley, IAMDRPGURLEY. And then I also have my other business, Clark and Hill Enterprise, in which I am on Facebook at Clark and Hill Enterprise and Instagram at Clark and Hill Enterprise. So all of it really is the same, except for on Twitter, it is Clark and Hill ENT. Yeah, so because I couldn't get Clark and Hill Enterprise all the way across, I had to shorten that up. But that's where you can find each of us individually, but collaboratively, you can hit us up and follow us at HERSPIRATION Happy Hour on Facebook and on Instagram. It is at HERSPIRATION Happy Hour, and we love, for you to connect with us on multiple things, especially if you're a small business. And then, so the other thing that's going to be coming up on Herspiration Happy Hour, we are going to be offering, sponsorships. Are you a brand? Do you have a service that you'd like to provide? If you want us to, to advocate for you, hey, come on and we can, sponsor a show and, work with us, and we work with you, because we are all about loving and, making small businesses much bigger. It gives you a global platform. So with that, do you have anything else that you want to just let the people know? We have about 4 minutes.
Not really. I think I'm pretty good. Just check out the article. I tweeted it. Probably the most recent thing on my Twitter, because I really don't tweet a whole lot. And yeah, I'm excited to really get starting feedback from people and sort of seeing right now that the show's open. There's lots of different ways it can go. We're not married to any one topic or format. We're just really interested in seeing it's always evolving. And like all media is always evolving, always seeing where it's going to take us. We want you all to be the ones to guide us. So that's about it.
Oh yeah, I love that. Okay, so with that, we're going to get ready to close out the show, and we appreciate all of our listeners and everything. Oh, Zoe, really quick, can your article only be found on Twitter? Is there somewhere else that it's posted that people can connect?
Just search for NBC Think, and it's on there. If you Google and if you go to NBC Think and just search my last name, Zoe or Zorka, Zorka, you'll find it. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't. I'm not going to read the hyperlink out over the phone, but yeah.
Not reading the hyperlink. Yeah. I just didn't know if it was on the NBC. NBC Think, and then it's also on your Twitter.
Yeah, or if you go to NBC Think or NBC News and just Google my last name, it's really easy to find. Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I'm actually going to do that after we get off our show, just so that I can go and be informed, or more informed than I was. You always write great anyhow, because I did like your. I still have the Source magazine that you signed for me.
Nice.
When you write for the when you wrote a piece for the Source. So, you all get connected with her. She writes some really great things. I myself, I only write business stuff. I don't write a whole lot of other things. Like you're much more versatile than I am when it comes to writing. And so with that, we until the next time, and which, our next show, we're going to, let you know in advance of what the topic is going to be, but we hope it's something that you pick. Our audience, thank you so much for listening and staying engaged with us for all this time. And on that, have a good night and cheers. Cheers.
We off the patrol. We off the patrol.